welcome to the channel. And today I just want to talk about a recent Ancestry DNA test that I did, and I want to take you through the results. So I requested a DNA pack from the Ancestry website. And off the back of that, then it takes about a week or two to arrive. You give a sample, a saliva example, and then send that back in a prepaid package to Ancestry. That takes about another week or so to arrive at Ancestry, and then there's a tracker on the website to show you the various levels of testing that they do. That takes about 6 to 8 weeks. Once they've done that test, they then update you to say that they've now completed that and that the results of your DNA are available. So you log into the Ancestry website or via the app and click on the DNA results. You can click then on the results summary, and this gives you a overview page like this, and it kind of shows you roughly what your ethnicity estimate is. You then click on discover your origins, and it'll give you like a worldwide map, and it kind of breaks down. Now, I was a little bit skeptical of this website and what it can do and what it can't do, but if I give you a bit of background to this, I was pleasantly surprised. So if I just zoom in, and here on the right-hand side, you could see it says your DNA looks like most DNA from these 5 world regions. Now, as you can see, obviously, how does it work out that DNA? And it actually tells you how they do it. So they've done a sample across what they call a reference panel, made up of various groups, and off the back of that, they then work out which DNA yours falls in line, and then they group that together. So, for example, if people in Wales have a predominantly DNA strand, then they know that that particular group of people is unique. Let's say the Irish, Scottish, English, and I'll take you a little bit through that because I've got a bit of everything, and that kind of lines up to my recent history in the last 250 years. One of the reasons why I did this as well was I'm interested in the ancient migrations of the Britons, which are the precursor to the Cymric peoples, and I'm interested to see, through, let's say, Etruscan and Trojan heritage, how far that can go back. Now, unfortunately, this website won't give you that level of information because they've kind of admitted that it's really a 250-year period. But hopefully by submitting my DNA, if I'm not cloned, in the T's terms and conditions, then at some point in the future, maybe we can see, certainly with my Welsh, which is the Briton side of things, we can see then if there is a link to ancient peoples, and hopefully that can be discussed in other results and other tests that they do. Maybe not this website, but more independent websites. So I am Welsh. I was born in Wales, and it tells me here that my DNA strand is primarily linked to these 2 areas. That falls in line with where my mum comes from and some of my dad's family. And as you can see, it tells you Mid Wales and South East Wales, and a lot of my family are from this area here. Yeah, so Pontypool, Merthyr Tydfil, Blackwood, Bargoed, which sits somewhere in there, Aberbargoed. I have family as well over Brecon and towards Llandovery. So that's where my Welsh side of the family comes from, and it's identified 64%. Now, the Irish one was shocked me because my surname is actually Irish, and that comes from my father and my grandfather, who was born in Ireland. And my grandfather was born in a town called Enniskillen, and it tells me here that the 25% is linked to Southwest Fermanagh. Well, if I click into Ireland and I look at I could see here Southwest Fermanagh, Enniskillen. And my grandfather grew up on a farm just outside of Enniskillen. I think he was born in Belcoo as well. And that area is where all my Irish family really come from. So that was, and I hadn't given this level of information to the website prior to doing this DNA test. Now, the Scottish part of my family is my great grandmother, and it just says really that we found some Scottish DNA, whatever. Yeah, and that actually comes from my great grandmother who was from Glasgow. She was a muck something. And then if I go back, it says England and Norway. Now, I did have a great grandfather or great great grandfather from this area here, so from Yorkshire, yeah. And it's identified the fact that England and Norway 3 and 1%. Now, you may be thinking, well, Norway actually a Norwegian person, but actually it isn't. It's because of the Anglo-Saxon and Dane heritage, and primarily in the Yorkshire area. There's a lot of that, and it actually tells you here. Surprised by your Norway result, clicks on it, and then what they do here is they tell you that actually a lot of people with English, what traditional English DNA, and it talks about the Jutes, Angles, and Saxons who came over here roughly 1500 years ago, just after the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. What it actually tells you is that the Vikings also came over 200 to 300 years later, but they have very similar DNA between the Jutes, Angles, and Saxons, yeah? And also the Vikings settled in this part of Britain, which was Danelaw. So that may be where the 1% comes from. But, I don't really have too much heritage from an English perspective. My family are very much embedded in the Welsh side and also the Irish. So that is something that I hope you found interesting. And again, I hope one day that we can trace, especially the Welsh heritage, back to the Etruscans, Trojan, and so on from the earlier migrations discussed by Wilson and Blackett around the mid first millennium. So anyway, if you haven't done it, maybe worth just doing it if you're interested in that, but if not, fully understandable. Anyway, I hope that gives you a indication of how Ancestry works. Okay, thank you very much.